3, 2, 1.
So one of the common mistakes that people make when assembling their feed systems is when they want to connect two different metal types together. So for instance, the most common type is connecting brass and stainless steel connections, pipe fittings together. And what you sometimes tend to find is something along this line, where they have a tube body, either made of copper or in this case stainless steel, and they put a brass fitting on one end and they've put a stainless steel on the other end. This is not how to connect two dissimilar metals in a pipe feed system together. What could happen in this case is that because you are using two dissimilar metals, these will contract and expand at different rates depending on the cooling of the system. So if your pipes get very, very cold or start to freeze, or conversely get very hot, these two metals will expand at different rates, and under pressure this may cause the fiction fitting to fail and then coming apart, causing a hazard. So good practice is to use NPT fittings to bring together two dissimilar metals. So in this case, we have a brass tapered thread male fitting, and we have a stainless steel female fitting. Now you could swap them the other way around, okay, but effectively we're using an NPT type fitting to connect them together. So what you don't do is just take the two bits and you screw them together, okay? That doesn't actually create a good seal in the middle. So to create a good seal, we need to use some tape. And in this case, we use Teflon tape. So yet again, we're talking about good practice. And one of the good practices that we use in our lab, okay, is we make sure that all of the PTFE tape that we use to help with that bonding of the two components together is oxygen compatible PTFE tape. Now, in industry or from other manufacturers, okay, these will be potentially different colours. And even better practice is, instead of using white PTFE oxygen compatible tape, you look at using coloured tape, and the most typical is blue PTFE tape. So you've got to, however, make sure that it is oxygen compatible. And the reason why we use oxygen compatible PTFE tape for all of our fixtures and fittings, no matter if it's on the oxygen system or not, is because if in the future we do run oxidizers through different components or different assemblies, okay, which have got these PTFE tapes in there, there's no chance, okay, of using the wrong PTFE tape, because it's all oxygen compatible. So in this case, okay, to get a good seal between two dissimilar metals using an NPT fittings, we would get our male fitting and we would just put a little mark on one of the faces. Okay, that helps us to identify the start and the stop for this. Now, back at home, or when you've got your plumber in to do some plumbing work, you might have seen them use very similar sort of PTFE tape. And they just wrap it around and around and around and around, and then they grind it all together, okay? You don't need to do that to get a good seal, okay? All it takes is approximately two layers of PTFE tape. So we've made a mark, okay, on our fitting. And one of the issues with PTFE tape compared to the other types of tapes with lubricant on, it doesn't stick as easily to the metal. So you need to hold it in place, okay, and take it around the body until you get back to the starting location, making sure that you're wrapping the PTFE in the correct direction. So as you torque up, or as you attach it into the female part, you're not going against the grain, okay, and then causing and then potentially ripping the PTFE tape. Okay, so give it a little bit of pressure as you go around. So stretch it a little bit, okay, as you go around. So I've done it once. I'm going to do it again. Nice and tight as I go around. And then that's the 2 times. So I've now done it 2 times around, and I will then take it off, and then I'll just put it, smooth it over, okay, and so that's a nice fitting. So what I would then do, okay, having obviously cleaned these properly beforehand, I would then screw these 2 systems in, okay. First of all, hand tight, okay, and then using our tighten them in together at hand tight, and then using a mixture of spanners, okay, we would then come and seal it off, okay. So you just need to go through until it starts to bite. Now with the Teflon, okay, it's sometimes hard to assess exactly when is the right time to stop. Stop with this, okay. But you don't need to over torque it, but there should be a point where it naturally becomes quite resistant to any more movement. And there you've got a good seal now. Now, what I would additionally do is then plug it into my pressure feed system, okay, and then I would do a snoop check, okay, at half a bar, okay, or a small amount of pressure to see if there's any bubbles coming out. With this type of seal, if there was still bubbles coming out here, I would then crank it up maybe a quarter turn, some more, and then do the test again. And if there were still bubbles coming out of the system, I would then not crank it up any further. I would take it all apart, redo the Teflon tape on it, make sure everything's clean and there's no nicks, and then redo the whole process again. So once you've got a good seal, okay, and you've done your testing on it, your pressure testing on it, then that is how you connect 2 dissimilar metals in your feed systems.